Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Thunder, and this is Two Dads React. And this is a partnership between Dr. Thunder and God Rules. And we are two dads, and we'll be reacting to a variety of videos. The main topic for today is Trump charged, dollar collapsing, and McDonald's layoffs. And of course, on the road to the sort of main events, the primary topics we'll be discussing a variety of other topics. I'll be showing God Rules some videos. He's going to show me some videos, and then we'll sort of center around our conversation about Trump, the dollar, and McDonald's. Let's go. Warning: some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. What's happening, man?
Hey, not much.
Oh my goodness. Some artifacting from last week's show, but that's all right.
You ready for the weekend?
Oh my goodness, am I ready? I've been undertaking like a huge project, a number of huge projects on top of each other,
Hmm.
and and more are coming and stuff like that. So it's been it's been an event, all kinds of stuff going on. It's all it's basically all good stuff. Uh, mostly music stuff. Been keeping up on this streaming stuff, of course. Um, so yeah, you know, you know what you have to do if you're trying to get to somewhere you haven't been before. You got to do more work.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I'm trying to
Yeah,
build up my stuff too now, so I'm doing a lot of work in the background also. So I know what you mean.
good stuff. Good stuff. Well, here we go. Let's go ahead and jump into this. Let's see here. What do I got? All right. Let's see here. I got all
We
kind of
should, we should
stuff,
also
man.
start off by saying that, obviously the stream's going to be about Trump and also a lot of other topics in the same realm as the title of the video. But we're going to also cover other videos that we're going to react to as well, all that kind of stuff. So we'll get into the main topic eventually here. Sooner, probably sooner rather than later, though. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll probably show maybe a couple things, and then you can kind of get us right into it.
Yep.
Let's see here. I saw this video. Let's see here. Is it this one? This is kind of funny. Uh, this is kind of funny. Some people
Oh,
will not
boy.
like this.
Jesse.
Yeah, some people will not like this. I'll just tell you that right from the here. Matter of fact, let's just do this
Warning.
again.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Okay, so you've been thoroughly warned. You've been warned twice. Plus, then I've warned you. Okay, so let's go.
I would refer to myself as a slut.
Oh,
Like, well, if going out on a date with a guy makes me a slut, then that's just what I'm gonna be.
I don't think going out on a date make you a slut, but having sex with different men makes you a slut.
Well, what does it make you if you have sex with different women?
A slut maker.
A slut maker. Oh, wow.
Isn't that amazing?
All right,
Slow
so
dude.
uh, yeah, so he actually has a T-shirt. That guy's a minister, actually.
Yeah, he likes to say things that rile people up a little bit. I noticed that. It's kind of funny though.
Yeah, he I think he he's definitely trolling, right? Like
Yeah,
he's
of course. That's what
definitely
I'm saying. But everybody takes it too seriously. You can't even joke anymore about anything. And I'm thinking that guy is like just doing it to get under people's skin, a lot of the time.
yeah. It
He's
seems to
saying
me
his
that
truth though. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, it's clearly he's clearly trolling. There's some truth in what he says, but he's clearly saying stuff way over the top in an effort to get a significant rise out of folks, which he's very much successful at doing. Um, it's hilarious, and he has a strategy. It's interesting. He has the strategy of continuing to ask you the same question over and over, and people will like hang themselves because, especially people that think that they're real smart and they think that they have it together, but he sees immediately like the hypocrisy in whatever their position is. So then he'll just keep asking them the same question over and over, and eventually they hang themselves. And it's like, so the combination of trolling plus a strategic, repetitive questioning is like those are his superpowers. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Okay, so we did that one. Let me do
A
one
little bit
more.
like it's a little bit like Trump, you might say. I mean, Trump's kind of like that too.
Yeah, I'd say Trump and maybe
Warning. Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
well, see, the thing is anytime you say anything Trump or anything you know, whatever, you got to throw that up there, right? Because the folks, they're out there waiting. The trolls they're ready to pounce when you say anything about that. But Trump is obviously a great deal more, dare I say, nuanced than Jesse Lee Peterson.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
Amazing.
that's my Jesse Lee Peterson sound.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So let's keep going. Let me show you another one I've got in here. Yeah, this is a funny one. This is also a funny one. Let's go ahead.
Bruh.
What in the world, dude? What in the world, dude? It's the same lady, isn't it?
Bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah, indeed.
Bruh.
So what would you do, like, if you were in a church and they were going hog wild with the with the holy water? What would you do?
I think that guy was trying to take a little bit of vengeance or something. I don't know what he was doing.
What would you do? Like, would you get up and like get out of there? Like,
I don't know, man. It's just water. I assume it's just water. If it's just water, I'm okay with it, maybe. But I don't care if I get wet, man. I don't care, man.
Yeah,
but I might try to move out of the way if he's got a whole bucket, you know. But
oh, that was funny. All right, let's see what you got us. What you got for us?
All right.
Oh, wait a minute. That's the wrong one. Here it is. There you go.
So apparently, Trump is up 10% after all of this, trying to arrest him, arraign him, all that kind of stuff. Up 10%, and I think honestly he's way up over DeSantis now as well, which is kind of amazing. But even with the different demographics here, you can see even with the black vote, he's doing pretty well. He's almost at 30%. He's at, of course, Biden's at 58% still. With that's amazing considering some of the videos I've seen of people complaining about gas prices and stuff. They'll still vote for him. I don't know, man. That's kind of crazy. But and Hispanics are even 48% now for Trump, which is kind of amazing also. But so you're seeing a lot of changes in what people think, and they're backing Trump mainly because they know it's just a witch hunt. I think is the main reason people are going that direction. But honestly, though, I don't think it's going to work. We even have liberal legal analysts coming out saying that this isn't going to work. So, I mean, even if CNN's coming out saying it, if CNN's coming out saying it's not going to work on the Democrat side, it's probably not going to work. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's going to work. If anything, I think it's just a free gift to Trump. It's just going to help him win potentially. Honestly, some people don't think that it matters, but I think it is pretty obvious that things are far worse right now than they were the last time when we had the previous guy in. So I think it's pretty obvious things are way worse than they were before. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty funky.
And it's not left right either, man. Biden literally almost feels like he's purposely trying to destroy the economy and purposely trying to just ruin everything. I mean, honestly, a monkey randomly pushing buttons would probably do a better job. At least they would get it right sometimes, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I feel like he's purposely, like, it's like the guy on the soccer team kicking the ball into your own goal. It's like that.
Yeah, right. The goalie, he gets the ball and he turns around and he just throws it into the net.
That's what it feels like.
That's great. Okay,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
got something. So
yeah.
okay, so
Wait,
let me
I got
talk
more than
about
that. I
this.
got more than that, man. I got lots of stuff.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
got
but I want to
also
talk about the
drug.
I want to talk about the
Go ahead.
demographics, though. I want to talk about the.
Let's
Can you
get
go
back
back
to
to?
it. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So this is
All right.
interesting. Um, this is interesting because uh, in the black community, so amongst black men in particular, Republicans have steadily been getting a higher percentage
For men,
of the
right?
vote. Now,
Yeah.
still, the total black population, you're still talking about, 90% or something like that are going to Democrats. That still has been the case, but of black men have been voting a higher and higher percentage for the Republican candidate. And I've been saying that black men are the new political X factor. So whatever candidate wants to get in, they're going to have to address issues that black men are interested in that affect black men, in particular black men and boys. They're going to have to do that, and you saw a little bit of that. You saw Trump actually pretty aggressively make some forays. Now you can say it's fake if you want to say it's fake. You can say it's just totally BS. You can say that, hey, that proves that he's really racist because he's actually entertaining these conversations. Whatever you want to say. But he was actually doing some things that were pretty assertive towards at least sitting down with with folks and figuring out what it was. Ice Cube's contract with Black America.
Right. I
Trump
remember that.
actually met with Ice Cube,
Yeah.
whereas they still have not met with Ice Cube. The Democrats still have not met
Yeah, I
with
heard
Ice
about
Cube.
that. I saw Ice Cube talking about that. I thought it was kind of amazing.
Yeah, so you have a lot of this kind of stuff, and of course, Ice Cube took a lot of heat, because
And
he
that's
dared
too
to.
bad, you know. That's too bad.
Yeah,
I mean, he was on a lot of movies, Law and Order. He was a rapper before too. I remember that. It
right.
was a long time ago.
Well, but the thing is Ice Cube, he spent his own money to pay and to collaborate with the people that actually really understood the topic. I mean, he got scholars, he got academics, he got all kind of folks to collaborate with him on this contract with Black America. And really, what it should have been the government paying for this, the government going out and getting people in collaborating with folks, and then doing what it is that the research found. But no, it's a private individual deciding that he's had enough. These politicians on both sides, they don't ever do what they're supposed to do. They say one thing, they do something else. Democrats love to give us freaking empty symbolism. Okay, hey, you got a first black president. Oh yeah, but everything was
It,
worse during both of his administrations for black
Well,
people.
it's also the
You know,
fake representation, like you got the stooges that pretend like they're trying to help out, you know what I mean? Like just look at the Republicans overall. Like a lot of them are just fake, you know what I mean? And you see it on both sides. You see all this fakery, but uh especially like I was thinking of Jesse Jackson, he actually gave Trump an award, right? And I knew if he gave a Trump an award for hiring black people, I think it was way back like 30 years ago or 20 or whatever it was. Uh, but I think like, Ice Cube is probably actually trying to help out the black community
mm,
more than I would say Jesse Jackson is. You know what I mean? That's my opinion. I,
yeah.
I feel like Jesse Jackson's there for money. That's kind of my thoughts on
Well,
it.
I think what happened. I think what happened with a lot of the what used to describe themselves as black nationalists is they became racial integrationists, and they did it for a number of reasons, but they definitely were incentivized to do so. Um, and it is what it is. All right.
Well, I like what Ice Cube was doing. That actually made a lot of sense because I felt like that was actually real grassroots, not some fake stuff. Because there's so much fake stuff, and I'm just kind of sick of seeing. It's kind of like I just look at them as like stooges. You even have it in what we're doing in social media. You have like these people that pretend like they're on, and they're grifters or whatever you want to call them. There for the money, and they're not really there to make a change.
All
Kind of
right.
is what I'm thinking. But but I was going to show you one other thing. You heard about this? I was telling you about the Bud Light. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of this, right? You apparently didn't hear about it. Bud Light. There's
No.
a famous trans influencer, Dylan. You know what I'm talking about? Dylan. I didn't even have it open. Let me go to Twitter. It's easier probably that way. Because everybody's talking about it over here. Dylan. Let's spell Bud Light. Okay, here we go. So apparently this person, you've seen this person before?
Yeah.
It's like one of the more famous trans influencers right now. Apparently, Bud Light or Budweiser approached Dylan, asking, for, was it him or her, to promote Bud Light, and they actually made a can with her face on. Maybe I'll play this really quick. But can you hear it or no? You can't hear it.
No, I can't hear it.
That's okay. So she literally she doesn't know anything about sports. Okay. But she's saying that I'm supposed to talk about sports. And so this is like the worst person to have like represent your thing. And then she had a can with her face on it too. I don't even know where that's at. Here we go. There it is. You can see it right there. And apparently a lot of people are not exactly happy about it. As you can imagine, a lot of people that would drink Budweiser or Bud Light are not really into trans influencers. Most of the people that are buying Bud Light are probably not really into it. Just kind of my thoughts. But as you can imagine, people like Kid Rock here, not very happy about it. Put a bunch of cases of Bud Light over there and was shooting at him and saying some other 4-letter words and stuff while I was doing it. Apparently not very happy about trans influencers supporting Budweiser, Bud Lights. And my whole thing is like, it just from a business aspect, it makes absolutely no sense, because you're trying to make your customers happy. Probably 30% of their customers aren't going to like this. So you're just losing customers by doing this. You know what I mean?
I'd argue it's probably a bigger percentage than that. I mean, people are not allowed to say it. You're not allowed to say it. You have to sort of, bend the knee, kiss the ring, and, put your pronouns in your email signature like that as a sign of solidarity or something. You have to do that. But, but most people are, and here's the thing. And it's not even really that. Most people just don't care. They're like, I don't care. True. I just don't want it in my face. They're just like that. They're just
you don't want a can. You don't want it on your can either. Right. You're drinking with all your buddies. You got Daryl and Joe here with plaid shirts on, or whatever, man. I mean, some guys in the city, they don't want this on their can. What is this? You're like at a frat party. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And I saw some really funny memes. This is what you'll go home with if you drink too many. Stuff like that.
Goodness. All right, let's see here. What else? What else do we have here? I got
jokes
some.
Are not allowed. I'm sorry, folks. Jokes are not allowed. So, especially in this realm.
All right. What else do I got for us today? Okay, here we go. This is I've shown a number of these, and actually this is right in the same sort of topic.
Yeah.
It's just about so I'm a fan of having conversation. Okay. And it can be contentious conversation. It can be, you really don't agree with my position. I really don't agree with you, but you're willing to have the conversation. It's not name calling. It's not personal. It's just, we're just talking ideas here. All right. So I'm always a fan of the willingness to have certain kinds of conversations. And I'm not a fan of cancel culture, but I'm going to put this up here again.
Warning. Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Because people, they're already going to get triggered, because if you use too much like logic and reasoning with respect to this issue, then you're like a transphobe and stuff like that. And I don't So anyhow, so let's go ahead and watch this. And this is a public enemy number one, who's on the screen right now in that community. So here, let's take a listen.
There are male gametes and female gametes. Oh, I had one last question. I just have one. I had one quick. Can you come back for 1 second? Because this is an important question. You said you're an EMT.
Yes.
Okay, if you're responding to a health emergency. Biological male, somebody with a penis, is having a medical emergency, and they say to you, "I think I'm having a miscarriage." Would you check them to see if they're having a miscarriage? Would you consider that a possibility for them?
Look. No, but that's because some people don't have body parts. Doesn't mean they're not a woman.
Okay. Sounds like we've established there are some people who, in principle, can get pregnant, and there are some people who can't. So there's two categories, otherwise known as binary.
Lots of women can't get pregnant either.
Yeah, but they're still of the nature to get pregnant. The only
But
reason
they can't get pregnant.
Yes, but
truth matters, right?
It does. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Truth matters, and they can't get pregnant. That's the truth. So how are they still women?
Because they are for the same reason that I can rightly say that human beings have two legs. And if a person is born with only one leg, that doesn't call into question the statement that human beings have two legs, okay? A person being born with one leg doesn't mean that now legs are on a spectrum and we can't say anything at all about how many legs a person has. Who knows? They could be a centipede. You know, they could have 100 legs. No, we know human beings have two legs. If a human is born without two legs, something went wrong. They were supposed to have that second leg. Something went wrong. If you meet a person on the street who only has one leg, maybe they had an accident. Maybe they were in war. Maybe something, maybe they were in a car accident. Maybe they had cancer. A leg was cut off. But you know that something went wrong because by their nature, they're supposed to have two legs. Same thing for a woman. A woman by her nature can get pregnant. A man by his nature never can. So if you meet a woman of childbearing age, say she's 28 years old, and she can't get pregnant, you know automatically that something has gone wrong. And she can go to the doctor and find out what that thing is, even if they can't fix it. So that proves that women by their nature can get pregnant, because the simple fact that she can't shows you that there's something wrong. This is what is known as the exception that proves the rule. Whereas if a male with a penis can't get pregnant, no doctor on earth is going to run tests to see what's wrong with him. Because they already know it's that he's a male, and there's only male and female, those who can get pregnant and those who can't. So, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that person at least stood there and sort of, you could tell she sort of accepted it because it's true, or he, or, what I mean? Right. But did you hear about the bodybuilder too? Did you hear about the bodybuilder? We'll get into that in a sec. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yeah. So see, the thing about this, because we can't have what used to be just regular conversation, and they've invented like different categories, like, cis man and cis woman and all this kind of stuff. Because we can't have real conversations about what is biologically, scientifically verifiable, now you have to interject parts of the anatomy. And so, and remember, that's what he had to do. He said, the person has a penis. Would you, if they said that they were having a miscarriage, would you actually check them for the miscarriage? So rather than just saying, making the regular conclusion that we always have in the history of the world, if the person has a penis, then it's a man. Now, that there are, we know that there are hermaphrodites. We know that that happens, but that's such an anomaly such a small percentage of the population that it's almost not even worth mentioning in the context. We're not talking about every third person is a hermaphrodite or something. We're saying, 0.0000001% of the the population. So so that used to be the thing, but now you have to be particularly graphic in your description of something so that you can get to the same amount of nuance and specificity, so that they won't try to act as though they don't know what you're talking about.
It feels like it's compromising logic for feelings. Like, I'm going to compromise my logic so that you can feel okay. Sort of the,
and the thing, I'm gonna say this though. I'm okay with people feeling okay. I want to feel okay. I want other people to feel okay too.
That's the thing. Everybody's like, well, I want them to feel okay, so I'm going to compromise my logic. Oh, it's just one little thing, and then it just keeps going and gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
But I think you could. But I think you could still be sensitive to people's feelings and not like go out of your way to make them uncomfortable.
Unless they demand it, right? Which is what some of these people do. Is demand.
Well, no, that's true. That's true. And I'm I'm not going to go for that. But I'm just saying, if someone specifically asks me to call them a certain pronoun, and they ask me politely to do so, when it's me and them, I will have no problem doing that. I'll have no problem doing that. This is what you asked me to call you. I'll call you that. It's a matter of respect. I'll call you whatever you want me to call you. It's the issue comes in when you start talking about discussions in the public square.
Well, okay. I mean, for me, I haven't had anybody. I've never had anybody ask me that. I've never had anybody ask me to tell me or use different pronouns. I've literally never had anybody ask me that yet. And
I've never had. And I've not either.
If it's like really kind of a flaky, demanding thing, I'd be like, no. I'd just be like, no, hell no, man. I'm not going to do that for you. If they're like demanding or anything, I mean, if it's just like somebody I know, honestly, I can't imagine me doing it anyways. But I'd probably just call them by the first name. I just wouldn't even use a pronoun. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It just seems kind of ridiculous, the whole thing to me. So.
It's totally ridiculous. Let's get back over.
That's why I sometimes say she or he. So that's like kind of me, being respectful, sort of, kind of. I don't know, but yeah.
Look. I don't want to offend anybody, and I don't. That's not.
I'm not
my
trying
goal.
to offend them. I feel like they're offending me by trying to make me do something. You know what I mean? Like they think they have control over me or something. So
well, see that. So here's my issue with the whole thing. I'm not responsible for your feelings.
Right. That's kind of my point of my response. Like, if they're really nice about it and we're like friendly and it's like a big deal to them, I might do it. You know what I mean? But otherwise, I'm probably never going to do it. If you're just demanding it of me or something, I'm not going to do it for you.
Yeah. I don't like this idea that you think that you can control the language that I use.
Right.
I'm going to use the language that I've always used, the language that we've used for, hundreds of years, whatever. I'm just not going to. I'm not going to do that, and especially if there's no science, biology, anything at all to support what it is that you're claiming.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
I shouldn't have to buy into what it is that you're selling, just like you shouldn't have to buy in to me like preaching the gospel to you and trying to proselytize you. I think that that's wrong too. Say if I'm at work and I'm trying to convert my workmate or whatever. It's like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. You're at work. You're there to work, and if you keep being pushy about doing that, they have every right to complain and say, get this person away from me, because they keep trying to invite me to their Bible study and I don't want to go. You know, so it's
Yeah,
it's the
there's some
same kind
people.
of thing.
Some
I
people
just
can
don't
be
want you.
pushy. Yeah, some people
Yeah,
can
I
be
just
pushy. I know what you mean.
yeah, I just don't want you. I just don't want you like pushing your stuff. Look,
Well, it's not
I'll
just
treat
that.
you
It
with
could be like
respect. Just don't be pushing your stuff.
they could be making jokes that are just not right. You know, I remember working with some guys that were just going way too far with jokes and stuff too, and they were beyond jokes. They were starting to get really bad. You know what I mean? So I know what you're saying. Like people can take things too far, for sure.
All right. See, what do you got for us?
Oh, I don't. I was just going to show you this real quick. Uh, you've seen all these different sports where a guy who becomes a trans woman will join in and will be defeating all the women, right? It'll be like swimming or whatever, weightlifting. And this seems to be something that's happening a lot, of course. Here we have a trans on the left here complaining that a normal looking dude entered a female weightlifting competition and smoked everybody, including the trans guy, trans girl, uh, trans woman. Is that the right way to say it? I don't know. Like I said, I don't ever have to deal with it where I live. Apparently, I live in the Bible Belt or something. I live in the city that has the most churches per square foot out of any city in America. So maybe that's why. I don't know. But yeah, this person here is complaining because this dude, and it's just a straight normal dude, man. I mean, it's just a big, tough looking dude joined in. He had a picture of the guy right here. This dude
Oh,
entered
come
the
on,
woman.
man. Come
It's so
on.
awesome, dude. It's awesome,
Come
man. I mean,
on.
he's making a point. I like what he did because he's like, I identify as a woman, man. You know, I'm a woman. It's like Schwarzenegger. You know, I'm a woman. Come on, man. It's man.
This is
Come
like
on.
that. Yeah, this is like that. This is
That
like that
big dude
joint
at the.
on South Park when it's like Randy
Oh
Macho
yeah,
Man Savage.
the same thing, dude. So this guy's like just making a point, you know, like, okay, anybody can just enter a woman's competition. I'm just smoke everybody, you know. He just smoked everybody, including the trans woman. The trans woman's complaining. Why is this guy allowed into the thing? Why is he allowed? Because all you have to do is say you're a woman, man. That's all you got to do. So why not? The big muscle, you know, get
Oh
some of
my
these guys like
goodness.
get some of these like super tough dudes, some of these strong men in there doing it. They can like
That's
they can
really
like
terrible.
they can like squat like
It's really
800
terrible.
pounds and
It,
stuff.
I'll tell you the whole thing. It makes you so okay. So I feel bad with I feel bad for people that actually are dealing with gender dysmorphia.
Yeah, I feel bad for them,
Um,
but I mean, we don't need to play as if they're not men with an advantage over one. Of course, I agree that a trans woman, is that the right way to say it? Probably couldn't compete with just a straight dude, you know, like a cis male they call it, whatever they call it. Because I mean, obviously that guy's got testosterone and he isn't like, you know, holding back on anything. But at the same time, you could say the trans is obviously going to be stronger than the female, the standard female. You know what I mean? Thicker bones,
well, yeah,
everything.
I mean, you got more bone density, you got bigger lung
Should be just a
capacity, you got
third category. You know what I mean? It makes more
right,
sense.
right, right. And it's interesting because I think that's what a lot of folks have been sort of advocating for. It's like, look, sure, we'd like you to be able to compete in sports also, but there's going to need to be another category. You can't just go in and I'm identifying as a woman now. Let me get in here and smoke everybody, and then
Like this
after the
dude.
event is over, then I can say, okay, I identify as a man again. You know,
It's so funny, dude.
it's just it's absurd, and that's why the whole thing is problematic, and that's why trying to force people to co-sign it is problematic. You know.
Oh yeah.
So anyhow, let's
We're
let's
supposed to, we'll go to one of your videos and then we can talk about the dollar and how it's collapsing. By the way, it's already lost
sure.
10% of its value this year. 10% in 3 months.
Yeah.
10%.
Yeah.
And they're saying it could literally lose half its value in a year. I really hope that's not the case, but
That's crazy.
yeah, go ahead, man.
All right, let's see. What do I got here? All right. Well, here's. I mean, I guess let's pile on. This is
Looks like
might
we're
as
on
well
this.
pile.
We're on a vibe here, man. We got this
Yeah,
vibe going.
yeah. Let's just pile on since we're talking on the topic.
Can men get pregnant?
Mr. Chairman, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Define what a woman is, in your
Mr.
opinion.
Relevance, point of order.
Thank you very much.
It is relevant, and point of order not recognized. I would like you to answer that, because you are speaking on behalf of a bill that involves pregnant women, and I would like to get your take on that.
Mr. Chairman, I'm in opposition to a bill
Right.
related to the domestic violence against people who are pregnant.
Not people, woman. So I would like you to explain, what, in your definition, what a woman is.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
there are people who identify
Women.
as different genders who are capable of getting pregnant. That is my position on this. I am not going to feed more into the bigotry of that question.
It's a sad day.
I didn't hear I saw that before, but I didn't see the end part where he talks about God creating us and stuff. I didn't hear about that before.
Yeah, and I like I like the point at the end. Real men protect real women. For the history of the world, men have always been the ones that have been willing to sacrifice themselves for women and children. If you look at what happened on the Titanic, disproportionately the people that survived were women and children. The men, almost all the men, the adult men, died because they sacrificed themselves for any of the women that could to survive, right? And
Yeah.
the same thing in any of these horrific things that happen, and the service people and the soldiers that die on the front lines. We've been sold this thing that says, look, it's your responsibility to protect women and children, and we've taken that on seriously. Even the whole patriot, being a patriot. I'm an American patriot. Even that whole thing really is about stoking the sort of energy, that sort of like disposition that a man would feel like, hey, I can sacrifice my life for my country. I'm proud of my country. I'm willing to sacrifice, this kind of thing. And so we've gotten to a point when the stuff has gotten so obscured and stuff so messed around and stuff. So it's like, I thought I was doing this to protect women and children. It turns out that all it takes is for a guy to identify as a woman, and now I'm supposed to protect.
Well, it's not as if transgenders didn't exist forever. I mean, we even had in ancient times temple worship, like the Cybele and stuff in the Roman times, like early Rome. Right. And they would purposely, cut off that thing down there and dress like a woman. So it was like, it's been around forever. It's not like it's new. I mean, some of them are actually, this is not a new thing. It's just like,
are you talking about eunuchs? Are you talking about eunuchs in particular, or
no? We're talking
okay, right? Because that was a thing too.
They dress like a woman. They take that thing down there off. Yes, that was thousands of years ago. They did that stuff. They've been doing that forever. It's not new. It's been around forever. I just feel like they're acting like this is a new thing. This is not a new thing. It's been around forever. All that time, men were still men, women were still women, men still died for women in battle, all this kind of stuff. While there was transgenders forever, I mean, give me a break. This is kind of ridiculous. So, but on top of that, I mean, I think a lot of what we're seeing, I remember like 10 years ago talking to some guy. He was going to college, and everything he said seemed like it was like a professor trying to essentially teach him something anti-Christianity. I feel like this whole thing started initially, and it maybe not where it is now, but initially it started out basically, we reject Christianity, so we're going to have some other thing to replace it. So what are we going to replace it with? Well, Christianity is behind all this, that, and the other. So we reject those things as well. We reject the family idea. We reject this, that, and the other. And I feel like the entire thing is devolved from there. So even with atheism and evolution, Like with evolution, they rejected archaeology that said there was any sort of flooding, mass flooding in the past, because then they would say, "Oh, you're a religious nut because you believe in Noah's Ark." And in reality, there was about 100 years of history, archaeological uh, uh, archaeological digs and everything else that said there were massive flooding in North America that was completely rejected, face value. Even though there's like tons of evidence, there was this massive flooding over North America. You have Dry Falls. It's 10 times bigger than Niagara Falls. Dry Falls is a dry fall that's 10 times bigger than Niagara Falls, and it's proof that there was massive flooding over North America. And because they were so adamantly against Christianity, they would just call you a crazy nut if you pointed out any evidence whatsoever for something related, partially related, even if it's not even about Christianity, even if it's just saying there's flooding in North America. So this is what I'm saying. So like in the case of this whole transgender thing, I feel like it's kind of like, because they reject Christianity, because they rejected the whole structure of what's behind Christianity, they call it the patriarchy or whatever, they just decided to throw it all out. And now they're trying to invent their own thing, and their own thing is not good. It's not even, it's kind of like you reject a mansion and you're trying to build this makeshift thing. It doesn't even go together, and it doesn't work. And they didn't even spend enough time to figure out what they believe to even make a legitimate paradigm. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I did one of my Car Thunder streams earlier this week. It was either earlier this week or late last week, and I covered this monologue that Tucker Carlson did on Tucker Carlson Tonight, and he was basically talking about how Christianity is basically in the crosshairs of the transgender movement, and
I think it's directly and indirectly depending on the person. You know, what I mean, in some cases they may not have any leg bone in the game at all, but I think
well,
you're right overall. It's like a something that extends from it in the past.
so with what Tucker was saying, and this is not about individuals.
Right.
It's not even about foot soldiers. It's about the
movement,
this sort of
paradigm,
the organizers of the movement. It's about who sort of is running that thing, who they are really against. And see, the thing is that Christianity teaches that we're all sinners. We've all sinned. We've fallen short of the glory of God. None of us are good. None of us are adequate. None of us are worthy. None of us are worthy of affirmation. We're all wretched sinners. And we need a savior. That's the whole point. It's Holy Week right now in the West, right? And appropriate conversation, right? But the thing is that with the trans thing, and even with stuff like body positivity, it's all about affirmation, positive affirmation. It's about, you're good just the way that you are, in wanting to be affirmed and accepted, and requiring that you say that they are good and that they're fine just the way that they are, and all of this kind of thing. And so those two things, those two ideologies, are warring against each other. One that says, I need a savior, I'm no good without a savior, and the other one says, I'm just fine the way that I am. And matter of fact, I can say what I am. I get to change what I am, not based on anything that I have done, but just based on, and I don't want to trivialize this, but based on how I'm feeling at the time.
And is this just human nature? Is it just human nature too? Because like, it feels like it's a human nature thing, because, if they reject Christianity, okay, fine, you reject Christianity, but that doesn't mean you have to reject everything else. That just is simple, obvious things like, what is a family? What is a male? What is a female? And this is what I was saying about the whole atheist evolution thing with archaeologists. They would just call these there's an archaeologist that won an award when he was 93 years old on his work about the mass flooding in North America. And they finally recognized him after like almost 100 years. because they wouldn't recognize him before because they were just too busy saying he's a religious nut, even though he wasn't even religious. The dude wasn't even religious. He was just looking at the facts and the evidence in front of him and saying, look, it's very obvious there was flooding, mass flooding. No, you're talking about Noah's Ark. That's not real. You know what I mean? It's like really kind of funny how human nature is like this, where if you don't accept one thing, you're just like, okay, well, if I don't accept it, I don't accept any of it. I don't accept one premise whatsoever from it, even though there's like 100 premises maybe in it. You see what I'm getting at? Like, why can't people sit down and actually think before they make a decision? Instead, they're doing it almost reacting out of emotion, and they're going completely away from logic altogether. You know what I'm saying? Just so they can affirm and feel good for themselves. Like you were saying, they're trying to make themselves feel good. It's kind of what I feel like it is, and just denying logic altogether.
Yeah, and you know, and I think about this, you know, the reason that community is important for all people, and this is why organized religion is always encouraging of corporate worship. You know, you get together, you're in a community, you know, different people have different roles within the community, is because you can't see yourself. Know thyself is next to impossible when left to your own devices. You need other people to look at you and be able to say what their perspective on you, what it is, because that actually helps you to be able to develop a worldview that corresponds with reality, that is not a figment, that is not just something that is dreamed up in your head, but actually is something that other people can verify. It's not just what you're saying. It's not just what you think. It's verified by other people, what they're saying.
And what you're saying, though, reminds me of 2020 when we're all put in our houses and locked in our houses, kind of. Right. It reminds me of that. And like every time a holiday would come up, oh, there's a new strain. You can't go out for Thanksgiving or Christmas to see your grandma. We don't want you to get religious or anything, you know, or we don't want you to, you know, we don't want you to have any talks with your other relatives, right? We don't want you thinking differently about anything. Just read your phone and believe what we tell you. Right. So it's the same thing you're talking about. It's like you were saying earlier about the people behind this know exactly what they're doing. Right. And some of these people wanted you in your home, not because they were wanting to protect your health, because they wanted to control your mind. Literally, that's what it is. And of course, the word government comes from, that's what it literally means, to govern the mind, govern the mental. That's what the word means. Yeah. So it's just kind of funny how that works, but I feel like that's what 2020 was. It wasn't about it was about controlling people. And I think, of course, it didn't work. It didn't turn out too well because I think a lot of people now know that's what was really happening.
Well, but I still think it accomplished much of what they wanted to accomplish, though.
There is a big changes in society. You're right. I mean, look at restaurants. Look at everything around you. Look at work from home, right? Big accomplishments in those. But I mean, it's destroying society. I mean, it's not like some good accomplishment. It's like you accomplished evil. Good job. I mean, you're like destroying the economy and society and the dollar.
yeah, but it depends on what perspective that you're coming.
Yeah, if you're like the devil, it's like a good thing, you know. Like, I'm destroying everything.
Well, I don't think you have to be the devil. I don't think you have to be the devil for this to seem like a good thing. Here's why.
Okay.
So if we're talking about oligarchy status people, the people behind the curtain, the people that, you know, they got more money than God, those people, whenever this sort of destabilization stuff happens, it never affects them. As a matter of fact, they double and triple their money.
Well, it can affect them because you'll see it like we saw in World War II. Some people ended up dead. That will affect you. You know what I mean? But the ones that were able to stay around somehow and buy their way out of it or weasel their way out of it, yeah, they stayed okay.
But I still think that you're thinking too low altitude. I'm talking about the people that were calling the shots. These
No, I'm
aren't going to
talking
be the
about them.
people
I'm
that are going
talking
to.
about them too. I'm talking about. I
Well,
mean,
they're not likely. The folks that I'm talking about are not likely to be subject to any carnage. They're not. They're not going to.
well,
They're not
well,
going to be the people
okay. So
taken
what you're
out.
talking about is those on the global, ist level, and I do think there
Yeah.
are some of them that do get caught. But you're right. A lot of them are the way they're able to weasel out of it is because they're not part of a nation. Their face ain't in the media. They're kind of behind the stream pulling the strings. But the thing is, though, there were a few that did get taken down last time, and I think this time will probably be more because now
I
we're in the
think so
information
few.
age.
I think so few of them ever get caught that.
Well, I think this time is different
No.
because we have the information age and everybody knows who they are. Before we didn't know who they were, so they didn't get caught. This time
I
everybody
don't
knows who they
know. I
are.
think we say their names over and over. Soros. We know who the people are. We say their names
Right.
all the time, and it has zero impact.
No,
They're
but
still
I think
doubling and tripling their money.
No. Well, see, we're in a different phase now. We're in a phase to where the dollar's going to collapse, and all these things are going to happen, whether they want it to happen or not. They're trying to control this collapse, but I don't think they
Man,
have control of it.
I'm
And
just
so
going
what
to
I'm
tell. I'm
saying,
going to
what
tell
I'm
you.
trying to
Look,
get, no, what I'm saying is there's a difference because World War II, you couldn't destroy the planet. World War III, you can destroy the planet. And there's
no,
people
I
that are
understand
working
that.
with these
I
people.
understand that. I'm just saying. Often in these sort of conversations, it seems as if
Right now they get away with it, but I don't think it will be forever.
yeah, there seems as if there's some sort of asserting of some sort of cosmic justice. And so here's the issue that I have. And Visionary Vet is saying justice will be served by our Lord. Sure, it'll be
Well,
served
that too,
in the
for sure.
hereafter. In the hereafter, for sure. I'm
Well,
talking
I think it'll
about
be here too.
now on earth. The book of Lamentations is all about lamenting that it didn't seem like there was any justice to be had. That
Right.
the freaking slumlords, they get over like fat rats, and the good people routinely, like the Billy Joel tune, only the good die young, right? This is like the routine thing. I mean, you
I don't
have a
think that's
good.
really accurate, though. I don't think that's accurate with the Old Testament, even because you had kings that you saw God directly take him out. You had King Nebuchadnezzar turned into an animal for a while. I mean, things
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
It's just
Okay,
it takes a long
so
time. It takes so long. It's like the pot never boils if you want, or was it if you watch the pot it never boils or something? It's like that. It takes so long. One day's 1,000 years to God. To you and I, it seems like it never happens. It might not even
but
happen in
that's
your
what I'm talking
lifetime.
about. But
But
yeah, but understand. My point is that in order for it to seem like a satisfying justice, it would have to happen in a way that you can witness it. And what I'm saying is the stuff that we're saying is this evil, bad stuff. I don't think that them cats are paying for it until we're not even thinking about it anymore. 30, 50, 70 years, we've been long dead. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying that justice will not come.
right, I
I'm
know.
saying that if there is justice to be paid, we know for sure it will be paid in the afterlife. We know that for
Well, yeah,
sure.
for sure.
That's
Yeah, for
something we
sure.
certainly can hold on to. But as far as seeing some sort of cosmic retribution in real time, that's just not something that we usually experience. I don't think we usually
Well,
experience
yeah,
that. And the fact is, if you look at the amount of evil that just exists in the world and the amount of just totally impoverished people all over the world, people that are starving to death and all like this, you can't
right.
tell me that they deserve to starve to death. They don't.
Of course. No, of course. Not.
Okay. However, that's the state of affairs. So I'm just
But
saying that
a lot of that is a power struggle that ends up causing that. The people without food is usually because there's some group trying to do something politically or to get power or something, and they're the ones usually causing it. You know what I mean? It's not usually because there's just not enough food. It's because there's some evil people doing stuff, right? I mean, generally speaking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it's like these evil people that are doing something, they got 17, 20 wives, they got freaking concubines, they got 90
Well, I mean,
9/11.
just think about Lenin, like Lenin of Russia. That dude ended up in an insane asylum, dying at like age 30. I mean, these people end up. I mean,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you end up
but
doing
for
evil
every
for too
instance,
long, sometimes it just
yeah, but
happens
for
real
every
quick.
instance, yeah, but for every instance that you can name that, you can name some despot that lived until he was 90. You could freaking uh the what's his name?
Stalin,
The porn guy. The porn guy. What's his name?
Hugh Hefner,
Hugh
Hugh
Hefner
Hefner.
lived until he was how
But
old was he?
but
And
dude,
just
he's
consider
not
how much
nearly.
evil this dude did.
Well, I mean, he did evil, but I mean, he's not like the level of Kim Jong Un or something. I mean, give me a break.
Oh, come on. This look.
Kim Jong Un's like torturing people and shit, man. He's got
No,
200,000 people.
that's true. That's true.
The
But
dude actually took a cannon to his uncle, man, and literally shot a cannon at him.
yeah, but without this
I
dude,
mean,
man,
like missiles and
without
stuff.
this
That's what he's doing to his relatives.
this
Like
guy
crazy.
this guy now, human nature is what it is, and there were other folks, other bad actors simultaneously acting, but this dude almost single-handedly glamorized this, and exploited this, man. The porn industry and stuff was really built after this dude. And so I'm just saying, this dude lived to be an old man. He's still he's still having his way with 20-year-old girls, twins and stuff.
Like,
It's
I
like,
heard
come on,
he was
man.
into some. I heard he was into some really weird stuff. I don't want to talk about it here, but yeah, he's not just into 20-year-old women, dude. He was into some weird stuff. So
Yeah, well,
anyway, that's
after
more
probably
topic.
having that many women,
Yeah,
maybe you get bored with women. So,
I
but
don't know,
anyhow,
man. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just messed up. So anyhow, all right. So let me play one more thing here, and then let's get it back to you. See, what is this? Okay, here we go. This is we've been kind of serious. This is kind of lighthearted.
If anybody have any information about where my boyfriend is, please feel free. Please contact the police first. Y'all can contact me, or y'all can contact his wife. Any one of them, ma'am. Yeah, he married. His wife was on the other news channel. Yeah, well, I was the last person he was with, so.
Hey, I mean, polygamous, man. It's polygamous.
No, they ain't polygamous. That's some other woman. It's freaking having no shame about your stuff. That's freaking hilarious. All right, let's get let's get back over to you, man.
I don't even know what I got here. I was going to talk about the dollar a little bit, but I got an advertisement. Because all my stuff reloads every time I do something. Well, if you guys understand what's going on with the dollar, essentially back in 1970, we were on the gold standard. We were taking off the gold standard. It only took 10 years, I think it was. Yeah, it was about 10 years to lose. It was either 80 or 90% of its value. Like, I think it was 1980. It was already almost 1/10 the value. So what it was, though, is we were on the gold standard. That was protecting the dollar from inflation, right? Then we were put on the petrodollar, or petro contracts. So basically, the reason why we went in and had war in Afghanistan, Iraq, was over the oil, because the oil was what backed the dollar, and what backed the power of the dollar, which backed our ability to have purchasing power. And that's what we were exporting, essentially, was the dollar. Now, a lot of countries are rejecting the dollar for oil contracts. France just did a major contract with China for energy. I think it was natural gas. And we had Brazil, and there's actually a number of countries that are making contracts without the dollar now. And even Saudi Arabia, there's actually another really big one too. I can't remember offhand, but there's like numerous countries making these. Japan also made contracts with Russia, with China for oil, and without the dollar, using the yuan, which is China's currency. I've been talking about the fact that we don't have. So this is why these globalists are in trouble right now, because it used to be a global economy, right? It used to be one economy. They had all these banks. You didn't play ball. They would put sanctions on the country. They would make it so they couldn't do business as a country. If you don't do what we want, you're gonna have sanctions. Otherwise, you got to use our dollar to buy oil, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We put so many sanctions on all these countries that it got to the point. Here's just a simple way to explain it. Imagine you're the guy head of the party. You got a party at your house. You got all these people over, and some people are not doing what you want, so you kick them out, right? Kick them out. You don't not doing what I want. Get out of here. We kicked so many people out. They all made their own party. They're making their own party now, and everybody's going over to their party now. So what that means is the dollar's not going to have any backing, and we have for every dollar in America, we have $3 outside of America. And if they don't need the dollars outside of America, where do they go? They come back to us, okay, in the manner of inflation. And this is what I was talking about, that we've already lost 10% of the value of the dollar. All you got to do is look at gold and silver prices. They're both up 10%. Actually, I think it's a little more than 10% at this point. And some experts are saying we could literally lose anywhere from 35 to 50, basically anywhere from 65% of the value to 50% of the value of the dollar by the end of the year. So, and if you could imagine that with the way people are right now, with not having enough money to pay for anything, imagine your dollar's worth like 60% of what it was before. I mean, what do you think you're going to be buying then? So this is why I was saying that since we have the information age, since we have the internet, since we have all these people, we know who they are. They all used to be faceless people in the background. And now, because the power's changing hands too, although they were trying to stop it, that's what a lot of the stuff that's been going on around us is all about, is them trying to stop this from happening so they can maintain their full control over the entire financial system. But now it's two separate financial systems. That was the whole WAR over there in Crane. That whole thing was about them maintaining their power, and it backfired. They were hoping that Putin would be deposed. They would just reject him and move him out of office. It didn't happen. That was like a year ago. They were hoping that. It didn't happen. And now, because of China working with the Ruslans, as I call them, now they're becoming a powerhouse, because China has a very huge economy, and they've been growing they're part of the BRICS nations. And now the East, or the BRICS nations, are getting almost as big as the West, and the West is shrinking while they're getting bigger. And the globe dudes are losing their power. And of course, a lot of people know their names. So what I'm saying is, if they continue on where they're going, they're trying to make a world WAR. If you can imagine that happening, anybody that's working with these globe dudes are probably going to grow a brain and say, wait, this is probably not a good idea, because everything will be gone if we do that. If we have a number 3 war, everything's going to be gone. What's the point of that? So I'm thinking they're going to turn on their friends. They're going to turn on these guys eventually. And some of those dudes are going to end up getting locked up. I think some of those dudes are going to get locked up. Some of them are going to escape. Maybe, I don't know what's going to all happen, but I think it's going to be something big is going to happen in the next year or two. And either it's going to be, number 3 war, or it's going to be, and everything goes to hell, or somebody's going to grow a brain and say, wait, why are we doing this? Why are we working with these people that are basically losing their power and are about ready to destroy the world? So that's kind of how I look at it. That's just my opinion from my own analysis. But of course, like you said, I mean, they do work in the background. They work in the shadows. Some of them are not known. Maybe someone will get away with it. Who knows? They rebrand themselves like they did after World War II. There were people that were around. Even some of the Germans came over here and worked in NASA and all that kind of stuff. People don't know about it, but some of their top scientists and stuff came over here, Operation Paperclip and all that stuff. So yeah, some of them get away with it, but I think this time around, more of them are known. And this time around, they're not winning. See, in the World War II, they won. Okay. The people that are in power now won back in World War II. This time, I think they're going to lose. So that's the wild card. We don't know what's that's going to turn into. But I honestly, though, I think we have a lot more going on this year. I think we're just barely starting to see what's going to happen this year. I think we're seeing the tip of the iceberg at this point. It's going to get a lot worse. I think it's going to get like a little hairy, I think, by the end of the year. That's just my thoughts. But
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You got a lot of Christians that are praying that stuff will get better and everything's going to be good, and that's fine. And yeah, we want to pray that you know um, that as many people. You want people to be safe and protected, and you want prosperity and all that.
well, these guys
But
are getting
if you
exposed right now. These
but if you
guys, a
read the
lot of
good
these
book,
ministers.
yeah, if you read the good book, the good book tells a story that says that stuff's going to get worse, a lot worse, way worse, continue to get worse. And I'm sorry, but no pre-tribulation rapture. You cats are
Well,
going to have to
I
just
wasn't
take it.
talking about that, but yeah,
Yeah, I
I
know
actually
you
think
weren't.
it's.
I know
But
you weren't
I
talking
actually
about that.
I actually disagree a little bit. I think it's going to get worse, but then I think there's going to be some good, and then it's going to get really worse after that, and then it's going to be the end. But
Yeah.
you think it's just going to get worse, and a lot of people
I
just think
just think
that.
I think it's going to be like this, and it's just going to keep going that way. And I mean,
I
try
actually have a
to.
little bit more hope. I have more hope, but yeah.
All right. Anyhow, let's see here. So I've got a couple more, and then you can talk about McDonald's.
Oh yeah, okay.
Let's see here. Let's see here. What do I have? And this is the uh, late great Kevin Samuels, and we played a Kevin Samuels last week too. I saw this one, and I thought I would do this one too. Now look, and he's talking about pretty privilege here. Okay, let me just go ahead. Let me just go ahead and do this again.
Warning. Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right, so you've been warned. It seems like maybe the only thing that is worse than Trump is Kevin Samuels. So, so we're doing both Kevin Samuels. Oh, heck, we did the three. Well, we did Matt Walsh, we did Trump, and we did Kevin Samuels. So we're just going in tonight. But he's gonna say some stuff that's pretty edgy. I already played the warning. If you're easily offended, then this will be the time for you to exit. Don't say that I didn't warn you. Here we go.
You ever see the VIP line where the young pretty girls get in for free?
Yes.
Have you ever been in that line? Or I mean, you know that line.
I have.
Huh?
I have.
And then what about the women that weren't in that line?
They have attitudes, and they're wondering why they're not getting in as fast.
Hold on. Are they really wondering why, or did they know why?
They probably know.
There's no probably,
sure
man. There's no probably. They know.
Okay.
Tell me why you getting the VIP for free and they can't.
Because we're dressed up. So like when you go out, we're wearing dresses, we wear heels.
Okay, if you look like Precious in heels and a dress, could you get in the VIP?
No.
Okay, so let's not play.
So I warned folks. I warned you. So if you're offended, I warned you. But he's talking about that whole. He was talking about the pretty privilege thing, and that's a real thing. That's a real thing. I think that women that are really attractive, they clearly, men will go out of their way to help them, to try to do things, to make their life easier. They get to go into the nightclub for free, all of that kind of stuff. Of course, men don't get any of that stuff. It doesn't matter if you good looking or not. Men don't get any of that. But there is such a thing as pretty privilege. So, anyhow.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Okay, I think I have one last one, and this
All
might
right,
be a
cool.
rerun. This could be a rerun.
I mean, dudes like pretty chicks, man. That's how it is, you know.
That's pretty much. It's a biological imperative. All right, let's keep
Yeah.
going.
Oh, all we want is gay marriage. Please let it happen. Please. Oh, it's gay. It's love is love. Love is love. And then we pass it, and what happens? Are they satisfied? No. Oh, we forgot we have a few more letters to tack on. It wasn't just LGB. Forgot to tell you about the T and the Q and the I and the A, and we need bathroom signs, and we need classrooms to reflect this indoctrination, and we need your children to know that they can pick their private parts. There seems to be no bottom. We're inching ever closer to wanting to warrant pedophilia, because that's where this is going to end up, and I'm going to be right about this.
Man, I should have played
shirt.
Oh yeah,
I like
right.
Shirt.
The proud Karen. Yeah. Oh goodness. Let's see here. We got a super chat in the house. Charles D. Curry with the $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that super chat, sir. I probably should have played the warning before that Candace Owens joint, especially for that silent P that she put in there at the end there. What's the name? Why can't I think? Whitlock, Jason Whitlock. He always says, he'll say all the letters, all the rainbow letters, and then he'll say in silent P at the end. It's like, dude, you're really trying to get some folks ticked off at you.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of gays that are not on board with this stuff at all. So,
Yep.
I mean, there are some. For the life of me, I can't remember the sort of conservative guy who's gay. What's his name? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Rubin.
Yeah, Dave Rubin. Yeah. I mean, that guy, he's not on board with this type of stuff. And there's actually a lot in the gay community that are not on board with this stuff, and they're speaking out now. I've seen a lot of that happening of recent, and honestly, it makes perfect sense because a lot of them are in agreement about, are you a man or are you a woman, all that kind of stuff. And also they want, ethics. They want society to run correctly and things like that. They understand the value and power of the family and understanding certain moral values and stuff like that. Even if they may disagree or have a different persuasion on, if they're attracted to the opposite sex or the same sex or whatever. So you're seeing a lot more of that happening of recent too. So a lot of these are like, hey, I'm not on board with this at all because it just keeps changing. It keeps changing. And it's just like these Democrats who were Democrats 40 years ago. They're like, where am I now?
Yeah, a lot of these folks, Rubin was one of them. He worked on what was it, Young Turks. He was
right.
Young Turks, and
even the one guy that's like the most hated now. Didn't he work on the Young Turks? I can't remember his name now. Why am I drawing a blank? Gavin, wasn't he on there too? Wasn't he on the Young Turks? Or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
no, he was on Vice. He was on Vice. That's what it was. He was on Vice. But they were on mainstream shows, and then now they're
but and the Young Turks is pretty left.
Yeah, that one's left. That's not even mainstream.
But those guys keep going. They keep going further and further, and pretty soon, before you know it,
No, Anna Kasparian's actually on board with us now a little bit. Did you hear about her tweet?
Say it again.
Anna Kasparian said, "I'm not a female with a uterus. I'm not a person with a uterus. I'm a female, or I'm a woman, or something like that." She put out a tweet like that, and apparently it didn't work out too well with some of their followers. But
this is.
But it's really offensive. It's like, I think the cis male thing is kind of offensive. I feel like,
I think it's that's
birthing person. I mean, if I'm a female, I'd be kind of offended too. I'm like, what is this crap?
No.
I'm a female. I'm not a birthing person. I'm not a person with a uterus. I'd be kind of offended too if I was a woman.
Yeah, the thing I don't like in it's the same. It's sort of the same playbook, because remember when this administration was all about changing what a recession means, and this stuff happened like in real time. You go to like Wikipedia, and like immediately they change the definition on Wikipedia of recession, and it's
Oh yeah, I
like,
love that.
dude, it's totally ridiculous.
When there's like
But
when there's like buildings on the ground and there's like everybody starving, then it's a recession. It's a recession,
oh,
folks.
right. But it's the same. But it's the same
World War
playbook.
III.
It's like let's just change the definition of the word, and then let's insist that we're right about what the definition is, and act as if we don't remember what the old definition was. And if you act like you remember the old definition of the word, then you're the problem.
It's like book
That's like
burning.
what they do. They just lock in, and then just
It's better
deny,
than
deny,
book burning,
deny.
man. You don't even have to get together an army and gather all the books or anything. You just delete, change a couple words. I'm done, man. We're good to go.
Yeah, that historical revisionism, man, that thing is strong. All right, let's get over here. Let's talk about McDonald's.
Oh yeah. Well, what's going on is interestingly, McDonald's briefly closes U.S. offices ahead of layoffs. And so they did this, and it's not even shown on the screen very well, is it? Well, at any
You
rate,
have
you
to
know what I'm
move it
saying.
around. Wait, oh, okay. It's
Yeah, McDonald's briefly closes ahead of layoffs, and then what they do is they're supposedly laying off a ton of people. And here's the thing: they're actually doing these prototype McDonald's now. They're actually putting them in different cities. It's fully automated. There's robots. There's no people, like zero people in the entire place. And it'll even have, like, if you are sitting inside, it even has a robot that delivers you the food. And as you can see here on the drive-through, it's like a robotic arm giving you the food. So it's completely automated, like completely automated. And I've seen some gas stations that are trying to test like this as well. They're completely automated also. So you saw kind of what happened with the whole staying at home thing back in 2020. We started noticing the restaurants changing. Like sometimes you go to the restaurant and you can't even go inside because they just got it
right.
closed, and you have to go through the drive-through all the time. And there's like far less people sitting inside. Was that on purpose? Because they knew that in the future they're going to have it to where they don't have any workers at these restaurants. And you're
Yeah.
seeing it also with Amazon's Whole Foods. They have a number of locations now. No people at all. You have to scan a QR code to get in. And even in Seattle, I think you scan your hand to get in.
Ugh.
Okay. So is that where they want to take this, where they have like no workers, all robots, everybody's living off some income given to them by the GOV or something, some universal stuff? That's what some people are wondering. But I think the fact is, like I said, you're seeing this other thing going on at the same time, where you have these two economies growing, and you see the BRICS nations with the Ruslans and China and all them getting much larger, separating from the system that the globe guys are trying to build. So that's why it's a wild card. You don't know what's going to happen with this whole thing in the end. It's really up in the air at this point. You can't really see it. But of course, I'm sure God has everything figured out and knows what he's going to do in the whole thing. But personally,
Yeah,
I
he's
feel
gonna
like,
let it. Yeah, he's gonna let it burn. He's gonna say,
well, I'm
"You
sure it's going to
evil
burn. I'm sure there's going to be
societies."
a lot of crazy stuff happening. I know that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's called what is it? It's called brimstone. Isn't that the word for it?
I'm thinking like Egypt. Egypt had the 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of famine. I'm thinking, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here, but we've had plenty of years of plenty. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think we're done. I'm sorry, man. I'm pretty dark tonight. Um. So one thing that's interesting about this McDonald's stuff. Okay, so McDonald's. So we and on the thumbnail, I've got that. What is it? What is it? Burger University. What is it called? What is McDonald's University? What's that? What is it called? Um,
I'm not sure. I
I
don't
can't
know.
remember what it's called, but it's like Burger University or something like that. Hamburger University.
Oh, Hamburglar, maybe Hamburglar. I don't know.
No. I think it's like Hamburger University. But
Okay.
anyhow, that's beside the point. The point is, well, actually, no, I can see it right here. Here it is. No, yeah, Hamburger University. Um, and it's interesting because there's all these middle management positions, this sort of like all of that sort of corporate bloat that tends to happen in these corporations. And I was talking to my co-host from last night's show, Getting Ish Done with Ike and Dr. Thunder, and Ike was talking about there being another angle to this. So the angle that I was talking about was just this whole, okay, they're going to get rid of these folks because of AI, right? AI is going to take over a lot of these jobs. And you cited a couple examples of them at the local places, but even in like middle management, you're going to see a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
that. But something that
Yeah,
Ike
even
was saying,
doctors. They even have they have surgeons, AI
yep,
surgery too.
yep.
So
But Ike is saying something else that I thought was interesting, and that's the of um, um, sort of copycatting that a lot of these CEOs in these companies do. So, uh, Twitter, what's the guy, Musk, Elon Musk's
oh yeah, Elon
slicing
Musk.
and dicing at Twitter, and then you saw that what happened at Facebook. They started slicing and dicing, and now McDonald's is slicing and dicing. So I think that there's like turns out that we don't actually need all of these positions.
This graph here shows you why too.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the S&P 500, 400, S&P 600. As you can see, their earnings from January 2022 till now are now in the negative. So they're not earning any profits now. And these are the top companies not earning profits. And if you understand, the competitors are even making less money than the top companies. So
Mm.
they're in the negative right now. So that's why they're doing layoffs, trying to find robots to replace you and stuff like that, is because they're in the negative. That's why.
And then meanwhile, and this is interesting, meanwhile, they can't pay you enough. They're paying bonuses still to try to get people to work these fast food jobs. People still don't want those jobs. Um, you know, they barely have enough people to work. There's a restaurant that we like to go to that's pretty close to it's Boston Market. Okay, so it's Boston
Oh yeah,
Market,
Boston Market,
and there's
right?
been several times when I pull up there during the regular hours, and it'll have a sign out and saying, due to lack of workers or something like this, we're not going to be open until for 2 days. And
Wow.
it's just like a regular thing where it's like they just can't find people that even want to do those jobs. So it's like you have a shortage of workers on that level, but then you have an overabundance of people in these middle management positions. They're slicing and dicing those, but they still need the people on the ground. So it's really it's an
It's
interesting
really
sort of
top
dynamic.
heavy, man. You see these guys that are very rich at the top, like well, Elon Musk is an example, Jeff Bezos, all these people at the top are extremely wealthy. And if you look at like back in the 1950s, it was much more leveraged to where there was a lot more wealth in the middle income family level. Now it's just like everyone's either in the uber rich 1%, or you're like just in the, sub level, maybe poor, maybe middle class if you're lucky, kind of thing. And so there's a lot of, like you're saying, all these positions are very top heavy, and they could actually pull all that wealth down if they wanted to, but they don't want to because they don't
Mm.
care. You know what I mean? They'd rather replace you with a robot, dude. They don't care. And I think that's also showing our whole culture is falling apart, and there's no concern for your fellow man, things like that as
Mm.
well. And with them trying to, remove Christianity, and they try to replace it with this hodgepodge garbage that doesn't even work. They're like literally don't even know if they're a man or something. That stuff doesn't work, and it doesn't work for a society. You need an actual foundation, a system that works, and you're trying to literally rip out the foundation while keep going. And this is something Jordan Peterson pointed out like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. It's like, you guys are trying to pull out the foundation of how everything was created and keep going. If you don't got the foundation, it ain't going to go anywhere, right? It's just going to fall apart. And this is what happened to Rome at the end of Rome's, life. Same idea. It just fell apart, and it was all the moral degradation. Just the whole society fell apart. So, not looking good. You have to have a resurgence of that. You have to have people waking up. And this is where, and this is what I believe is going to happen. I know you don't believe it, but I actually do believe a lot of these religious leaders are going to get exposed, and it's already starting to happen. There's this massive court case coming out against Hillsong of them just lavishly spending money, and it ends up hooking all these other ministers in it. All these other guys like Creflo Dollar, TD Jakes, Joyce Myers, and just Joel Osteen. All these people are getting hooked up in it because they all were doing the same thing with Hillsong. They were all involved in it. So there's all these money transactions going on between them. And what they would do is they would do this. I forgot what the term is, but they would gift money to you. Honorariums, you know about it. Okay, so yeah, I did a video on this. So basically, I invite you to my church.
We talked a little bit about it. Okay. We talked a little bit about it. I mean, keep going, because probably folks don't remember.
Joyce Myers says, I'll invite you to my church and I'll give you a ton of money to do it, but then you give me the same amount to go to your church, 140,000 or whatever. So that's the way they can get the money out legally. If they just try to pay themselves 140,000, they have to somehow prove that they did something for it. But they didn't want to do anything for it. They just want to, get the money out. Must be for all those prayer requests, and stuff.
Oh my goodness, man.
You remember those ministers back in the 80s? They're like, there's this one guy got caught throwing all the prayer requests in the back dumpster, right? And then what he came out and said was, I was swimming and crying and praying to God in that dumpster for all your prayers. I'm like, yeah, right, dude. You just threw him back there and took all the money out, man. It's so bad. I can't remember that dude's name, but yeah.
This stuff is all messed up, man.
Those guys are like sub-level, man. They're not as good as these top dudes at the top, the bankers and all those guys. They got it down perfect, right? Those guys are kind of like just the low-level ones. But I believe these guys are going to get exposed. I even think the Vatican's going to get exposed. And then I think these top dudes are going to get exposed after that. And then I think it's going to kind of get good for a while, and then it's going to get bad again. That's my opinion on what's going to happen. But
yeah, and I know I've been kind of doom and gloom guy today for the show.
That's okay, man.
I do actually have a hope. I do have a hope. And I do believe that
some of my subscribers will like what you're saying more than me. I'm telling you, there's like a lot of my community. They're very doom and gloom. So you got the right thing for them. I'm sure.
Right.
A lot of them, not all of them, but quite a few.
Yeah. I mean, I do have hope. I mean, I'm hoping the right things. I'm a realist. I believe in being sober and vigilant. And, I believe in, doing what you can do to protect yourself and all of that kind of stuff. But I also have a hope. I have a hope that, if God wants something to change course, to change direction, he can do it. He can do it. If he wants to fix it, if he believes that we're worthy of fixing, if it's part of his plan, I believe he can do it. So I have no doubt of that. But we also know that there is human free will, and people can do what they want to do, and they screwed the world up like this. And if you can hate organized religion, can hate Christianity, you can hate the Abrahamic religions, the traditional religions. You can hate this stuff if you want to, but you have to admit if we had done it the way the book says, we'd be far better shape. We'd be in much better shape. And the stuff that you cats are trying to replace with ain't working. It ain't the right stuff. It's never going to work. It's always going to get worse, and you're going to end up reaping the rewards of that. Unfortunately, since community is the way that human beings are designed, that we need each other. Unfortunately, when you have a critical mass, not just a critical mass, but a freaking majority of the population just totally co-signing the foolishness, it's just like, man, it's hard to pull against that weight, man.
Yeah, it's not looking good in some respects, that's for sure. I kind of feel like we were given the short end of the stick a little bit, you know. Not me, you and me personally, but I just feel kind of like a society, like the next generation, has been given kind of like garbage, and you can't really expect a lot of good stuff when you've been given garbage, you know. I feel like they've been, you know,
I'm super concerned about my kid. You know, I'm concerned about my son. I know you're concerned about your kids. It's just like, what kind of crap they're inheriting, and just trying to do what I can do to try to keep my kids safe, keep him away from, you know, the worst of this straight poisonous, terrible indoctrination and stuff. Just trying to keep him in private school, try to keep a close eye on him, and oh man, this stuff is really bad.
Yeah, I think you're doing the right thing, man. I agree.
Yep. All right. Well, I will see you. We'll see you next time. Everybody, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Support independent media. Super chats enabled. Super thanks for the replay gang. Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Dr. Thunder Music, all one word. Spell out the word doctor. And this has been Two Dads React, the collaboration between Dr. Thunder and God Rules. Make sure you go over to God Rules channel, subscribe. Also his Sons of Thunder channel, and also his Sail Daddy 1 channel. Go over and subscribe to the various platforms. Support his channels. You can also, if you support this platform by becoming a channel member. It's not very expensive. I think the most expensive channel membership I have is like $5, but that really helps, and it shows that you're supporting the content. So please like the video on the way out, and that's going to be our time. We'll see you next week with another Two Dads React. Peace.